Okay, I'm just going to talk, so if I go around in circles, it doesn't really matter. These are just words. And I have just had such even deeper things revealed, I guess you could say, to me in words. I mean, you have to understand that I'm a human being in a time-space continuum on Earth with everybody else living in the material world who has literally had the divine revelation of what we are. And I'm not trying to sound impressive or important, because importance is literally self-actuated. Like, if you want something to be important to you, you decide that it's important. Nobody can make something important to you. No one can make life important to you. But I'm not going to go off on that. But literally, this is very important for people to know, but I can't make them take it seriously. So it's up to them, and it's totally fine that way, because it's how we work. But I have multiple things to explain. One would be about how I learned how to do this, and it would be my dot technique. The second thing is about I guess this is just something to talk about today that is unique and interesting. I'm driving right now. It's 4:52 in the morning, which is actually, 4:53, because my clock is off time. And hey, 4:53 was the time that I had my experience. That's funny. But anyway, that makes sense, because today's 6/16. It's June 16th. And the year number doesn't matter that much, because we're just keeping track of it. And it's the same thing for 365 days. Everything else is that number. Not that whole combination. Yeah, true, for 24 hours, that's what it is. But this combination of 616 stuck out to me for a long time, because it happens to be the code for, ballpark brat buns, in my job that I do. And 616 always stuck out to me for some reason. I put a lot of code numbers in, but 616 was something big to me. And now that this day came here, I realized that I set myself something in the future for spiritual math on 616, because 6 is 2 3s, and the other 6 on the other side is 2 3s, and the one in the middle is 1. So it's male energy on one side, female energy on the other side, and 1 in the center, and there's me. And this was one of those days where I had predetermined it before in my life, before I even started as Dan Alexander. I have predetermined that my numbers would be 3, that my, everything that led up to what it led up to this. Like, there are times where you go off your path and you don't do things that were destined for yourself, that you actually did set in a pre-life, in a past life, when you didn't understand spirit. Well, now I understand spirit, and now I'm able to actually put it all together really. I can't say simply, because I still am very vastly confused on a lot of things. Like, how does a mineral become a mineral? I mean, it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter anymore. But I still know that I get to experience them. Like today, I'm driving right now, but as I was driving just a little while ago, before I decided to pick this phone up and record, I was seeing the frogs on the road, and I was understanding why frogs come out and worms come out when it's rainy, like that, because a frog basically is thinking to itself what we would think as humans. I'm going into a frog's mind here. I know that sounds sort of silly, but frogs basically think, how is life coming from there? Not those words aren't the words, but basically frogs that live around water, because it's a source of water, and every time it rains, they go to a source of like on the road. Why are they standing on the road? Because they don't need to stand around the grass, because the grass usually holds moisture, and it holds shade so that they don't dry out from the light around them, whatever. When it's raining and it's coming from the sky, they stand out in the open, and they're like, how is life coming from there? Like, not there. They don't say sky. They don't say there. They don't say life. But that's the feeling that I got about it. Like, they're like, it's safe to go out here into the open, because life is coming from up there. And they know that water is life. And so that was the second little thing. It was a little thing about the frogs. I know it was sort of weird, but it was an actual experience that, I experienced in extent while I was driving, but, non-time, timelessness. I experienced the whole experience of a frog, but in a split second while I'm driving. I can do things, and I can experience a lifetime almost while in a blink of an eye. But when I'm tuned in, and I'm very tuned in now, even while I'm driving. I mean, I could sit here, rattling off. I could channel direct messages, but I don't want to do that. I actually set my intention before I picked up my phone, and I told myself I'm not going to tangent too much, and there's 3 things I want to talk about. First one was explain the dot technique, which is basically just staring at a dot and never looking away, just like meditation, but you do it with your eyes open and you stare at a dot. Even though it gets boring, you learn how to do it. And then when you start meditating and you actually do learn how to see the bright light, you don't ever go away from it. You stare at the light and you go towards it. And people always tell you don't go into the light, and then they say it in a funny way, come into the light, that is a bad thing or something like that, but it actually is a good thing. It sounds silly, and probably people say it like that. They don't say it like in a way that's like scary, come into the light. They say like, something that's, enticing, come into the light. Or people joke around and they're like, come into the light. But it's because it's something to be, it's something to not take so seriously. It's to be lighthearted about it. The light is what we are. What we call God basically became light to be able to spread himself around all over the place, or itself. I don't mean to say him, because I'm not trying to be sexist or, whatever. Anyway, and the third one, this is actually really awesome. It explained to me how we can reincarnate in certain ways, and why there's so much life and stuff like plants and da-da-da. Okay, when a person dies and you put them in the ground, there's more energy left in that body than you think. There's energy radiating through and within every cell, all the molecules that are still there, that have energy in them, entwined, bound in their atoms. Well, those energy cells go into the ground. And when you put a seed into the ground, those energy cells go into that seed. So when you bury someone in the ground, slowly but surely, in a casket, they slowly but surely become other things through roots, through, what is a root? It's basically a vein for a tree to go through the ground, which is like a vein in the ground. But it's also the root to a tree. It's the inward, outward. It's like concave and convex. It's pretty interesting and amazing how it's actually all working, but I saw it, so I'm trying to put it into words. Okay. Let's say when you cremate somebody, the elements of fire and water and sky are all affected by cremating somebody. So is earth. It depends on what you do with the ashes. Let's say, love is one element, which is one of the fifth element, we would say, I guess you could say love, or spirit, or whatever you want to say for the fifth element. It doesn't matter. There's more elements. We gave these things words. So if I'm like earth, wind, fire, water, and heart, like if I'm wrong on how they really are and our words, then it doesn't matter. But you put your love and your intention into, say somebody in your family dies, or your pet dies, whatever. You wanted to live a life, say that person wanted to, was a person of the ocean. The reason a lot of people are of the ocean, they want their ashes spread in the ocean. When you burn somebody, almost all of their, spirit goes to the sky. But the sky is also permeating everything. So the sky does go to the earth on top of it. And so, and I know that sounds sort of weird, and I'm not going to get too far into that. But picture like water and how stuff can stick on the top of the water. Like when we die, say our spiritual energy, or whatever energy we want to call that, scatters into the air when we're burned, and it goes out throughout everything. Those ashes, those still have some of our vibration in them. And what we can do with those ashes is, say we were somebody that was of the water. We want them to spread our ashes in the sea. Well, then in a way, we can, our next lives, next life, whichever one you want to do, like say you want it to be majorly, and you want it to be comprehended, you want to comprehend what you're doing, you would have somebody put you in the sea, like without burning you, without ever, you just like be put off in the sea to die, like, or not to die, but after you die, they float you out into the sea, or hook something to you so you sink low. So the lower you go, the things that eat you is what you become and what you start experiencing. I know that it sounds, gruesome or whatever, but it's not. It's really not. And it's not one of those things where if somebody wants to be an animal, you take their dead body and you feed it to animals, and the animals eat them. No, because by cremating or planting in the earth, those things go through that cycle to become it. Because it's just hard to explain that there's an energy there's a natural energy somewhat emotions attached to a being that was a free will being. So our cells and all those things that are, what we say, decomposing, means together, basically they're coming apart. And when they do that, they individualize their, whatever their highest level of vibrational consciousness would be, as a cell, as a whatever entity it is inside our body. We know that we have trillions of cells, or way more than that. So therefore, we know that there's at least trillions of somewhat kind of life entities in us. Well, that's exactly true. And there's way more than trillions. There's infinite. Because we are everything. This is just our human body. And our elements come from outside and around us at all times. Like, we feed more to us. So our body isn't just our body right now. The future is our body too. The past was our body. The present is our body right now. So, and the future is going to be our body. You know what I mean? It sounds pretty far-fetched or like a crazy idea, but it's really not all that crazy at all. In fact, it's exactly what's going on in the future. Our body is in the future. Like, if you stop eating right now, eventually your body would deteriorate away. But if you find ways to feed your cells, it will maintain and it will make new cells. When it starts getting to the point where it doesn't have anything to feed off of, like, it doesn't take, you don't have to have 3 meals a day. You don't have to eat even once a week. I mean, you could eat once a week. You should eat more than once a week anyway. I'm not saying not to eat once a week. Don't take my words too seriously, because the power of the word is important. But you can eat once a week. I'm fasting. I fasted for 2 weeks at a time, and I didn't even feel hungry, and I felt super energetic. And I'm not saying everyone can do that, because they might not believe they can. The problem is they don't believe they can. So, remember, I'm not going to tangent too much on that. The third thing I wanted to talk about was the reincarnation. So basically, you can bury someone in the ground, and they basically become plants. Those plants become animals, or bugs, or wherever they go. Those plants, bugs, and animals go wherever they go after they die, or whatever they're eaten by, or they go back into the ground, or they're eaten by more animals when they decompose. So that's how that cycle goes. But say you go to the water, you could become anything possible in the water. You could become anything. Like, they could put you in a pool with a dolphin or a whatever, but there's chlorine and stuff like that in it, so that does neutralize chemicals, or neutralize, I don't know if it does much to vibration. I'll figure that stuff out too when it comes to water and chlorine and adding stuff. But right now I see just water as, if you would put a person's body without cremating it into water, it would basically be separated in masses of masses of cells of, like, there's individual cells. Let's say if there's one individual cells of the jillions and trillions in your body, and you take those trillions, the ones that are upcoming, the ones that used to be there, the ones that are still finding their way out, whatever, those things that are happening don't necessarily, you can, like, say you take a bite out of somebody's hand, and I'm not trying to sound gross, but you took some of somebody's skin molecules or skin cells. There's a whole bunch in one bite. Millions even. There's just millions. So all those cells are individual entities that will move on to their next level, move on to their next vibrational sequence. So therefore, let's say the entities that are your hand, that are your feet, that are your legs, they will become krill, plankton, some fish that eat you, maybe the sharks or something that take a big piece off of you, and it'll be the shark babies, or it'll be the cells of the shark body, or something like that. It depends on what level of consciousness and how much vibrational energy is in those cells. You could become a whole, like, when you become a universe, those people, those animals, those plants have the energy of your cells. Therefore, God is so loving that He loves us, whether, it loves us, whether we're loving, unloving, thankful, resentful. He loves us no matter what. It loves us no matter what. It's not like this holy thing, although it can be. You can look at it like that, so that it leads you to a nice way of thinking, a positive way of life, or what we consider to be good. But those are all just your choice. Like, there is no good or bad. I mean, you could be a mass murderer, but that's going to actually, your spiritual cells and your spiritual vibration will be tormented for that. And it will make you live another life that is, when you reincarnate, your spirit cells and your body cells are two separate altogether things. Your spirit is in your body vehicle. They're two separate things. They're two different bodies. But we've gotten so used to our human bodies that we don't even, like, people know we have a spirit, we have a soul. A soul is like the thing, that piece of God. The spirit is that secondary, broken up God that went into the invisible, the light, and then, so let's say the darkness is God without the light. The light is God showing his energy and showing his love. The darkness is the love that is there without having to be shown, the unseen, the void. And what we are is a combination of the light and the dark. And we have to learn how to accept each other. So, I think I said enough about the dot, about the frog experience and reincarnation. But I can expand on that reincarnation, because I saw a lot of different ways where you can be birds, how you can, like, if you want your next life to be a certain thing, you start including those things in your life, getting those concepts and ideas into your body so that your subconscious mind stores them, gets them into your cells. When you are reincarnated or buried in the ground, you put pictures or things of that sort, maybe even, if you want to be a cricket or something like that, you can take a cricket with you. A cricket won't be offended if you take a live cricket with you, because it'll still live down there with you, and, whatever. Like, I'm just using an example, but, like, you don't do it in a immoral way, because if you do it in a moral way, your soul itself, your spirit particles will be affected by that, because even when you're dead, the way your body is treated, like if you tell people to mutilate your body or beat the crap out of you, you will have a tormented soul. So why would you want to have that happen? Like, you won't have a tormented soul. Your particle will. Your spirit particle. I don't even explain that one, and that's not important. So just don't mutilate bodies, because it's not helping. It's actually harmful in this earth game. Really, it's not harmful in any way, because nothing is harmful. But in the earth game, it's affecting negative things, like the person who was buried after wrongful death and then abuse of a dead body has low negative vibrations. They get buried in the ground. The plants they grow look normal, but the plants still have love in them. They still have love, but they have that negative fear, that negative vibration, and the things that eat those spread that. Say you eat a cow that eats that grass, and that you have that negative vibration of fear, and the cow doesn't know that it has the fear. You don't know that the cow had the fear, but the fear and the negative low vibrations do what we call negative and what we call low and what we call vibrations. All these words are just vehicles of me expressing how it's working. And I hope people take me seriously. Like I said, this is information that people should take as very important, but I can't make anybody take anything serious. And that's just part of how free will works. So, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. I'm going to go buy my dad a Father's Day present, because I embrace my human experience. And I have to. You should. You should always embrace being a human being, because it's lovely. You could just be being without human, and that's no fun, because you can't feel it. You can emote it, but you can't sensate it. So emotions are something that we have to learn how to get control of in our sensate body, which is basically light is the sensate body, and emotion is the dark body. Not quite dark as in evil, dark as in the unseen. So even our astral body is a combination of light and dark. It's just more of a blend, because it's unseen to the physical body, but it's not unseen to the astral body. You can see all astral bodies when you become an astral body. But you also take them in the way you portray them, the way you comprehend in your subconscious mind, going through the brain and of the vehicle you're in right now. Because your spirit changes by what you're doing. You go to a school and you pay attention to those lessons, you learn more of the lessons that school's teaching you. You go to this body and you go around the people and the life experiences you have in that body, you become more of that body, and your spirit starts understanding physical. But then once you grasp onto the physical and you let go of the spiritual, that's what most people do, and they get lost in not knowing what we're here for. But I'm here to help with that. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to go buy my dad a Father's Day present. Peace.